set up a digital press, we'll go to Settings, and under Dockets, we'll go to Press. On the press table, we'll click New, and from here we can configure a new press. So for the name, it can be the actual name of the machine, like the Xerox, the Versant, the Ricoh. If you want to leave it more generic, like you have a group of presses and you just put work wherever there's room for it, you can call it something more like digital color or digital black and white. The group, this is customizable. It's just a way to organize to pick presses faster. So in this case, I'm just going to pick digital. From the format, you do want to pick digital. This is going to get you the scales that you need below. The stock feed type, we're going to leave it specified by stock. The only time I would really see you changing this would be if you buy all your stock in rolls and you cut them down into sheets, then we would need to set the press to run the stock by sheets as opposed to linear feet or weight or square feet. The digital color type, you have color or black only. Black only hides the color scales. Color obviously shows both the color and the black. The run cost per hour can be an employee's wage. It can be a burden rate, which includes the least cost and the overhead. Um, Generally, you can have one person running more than one digital machine, so you want to take that into account when you're using their hourly wage. So in this instance, we're going to say, run cost per hour is $15. So setup time in minutes for digital machine, probably 5 minutes or less. We can enter in the minimum width, maximum width, min length, max length. Right now, these are just informational, but will eventually come into play when we do best press selection calculations. So for now, we'll just put them in. Registration leader and trailer. So these are going to be for the imposition tool to calculate ups. So letting the system know that you need to leave room for a color bar or a barcode and how much you need. So whether it's an eighth of an inch or a quarter inch, you can put that in. Print safe margin, same as that. If you need with bleeds, how much space you need to leave to the edge. Obviously, if you set up artwork without bleeds, most people know that you need maybe an eighth or a quarter inch to the edge of the page. So again, those are for the imposition tool. The minimum and maximum impressions are again just informational currently, but will be used for best press selection eventually. So it'd be, I only run a minimum of 500 impressions on here, but a maximum of 10. And then the goal of what that would do is after 10,000 impressions, the system will start looking for a better press to run it on. So minimum, maximum caliper, again, just informational, but eventually would eliminate a press based on the caliper of paper. The lift height actually will calculate now. So this is to take into account any lift load time. So only going with the run cost per hour or the hourly rate, depending how you're charging for this. But the lift height, let's say it's 18 inches and we need 2 minutes of load time. You can make any internal notes you want about this press. The GL revenue account, you can set in your GL account section also in settings, but if you've already done all that and you're just creating this press now, you might as well just set it from this page. So after we hit save, it'll actually give us some more pricing options. So scrolling down, we have under production, the first thing we have is scale selection for our speed. So do we want it to step or do we want it to slope? So basically step means as soon as you hit the next value in the table, it automatically jumps to that value. Average means that it's going to find a slope between the two numbers, so they don't automatically just jump up to the next speed. So in this case, we're going to set it to averaged. Speed can be up to a certain amount of sheets. It runs this fast at this size. Most of the time it's just, up to 999,000 press sheets. We can run 4,500 an hour for the size of 8.5, 11. And then if I run another one, and then we can run, 2,900, sorry, up to 999,000. We can run 2,900 of all other sizes. So that's your 11, 17, your 12, 18, your 13, 19. So anything outside of an 8.5, 11 runs at 2,900. Obviously, you could do this for every size. They could all have their own speeds. You could do it up to a certain amount of press sheets. I suggest having at least an all sizes as a fallback so that if you do run a size on the press that isn't covered in the table, the all sizes will catch it. In the waste table, obviously for a digital, it's pretty low. So we'll just say one price scale, quantity up to 999. We'll take 5 flat overs. I don't think we need an additional percentage. There's not a lot of waste or configuration needed on a digital machine. In the pricing section, you can set the minimum price that you want for this press. So this is only for the press calculation, stock, and all that is separate. So you can say if I don't hit $15, I at least want to hit $15. In the click section, we do have some defaults so that if the system came back and looked for a size that you put in that didn't exist in any of the tables, it would have a price to at least fall back on so that you would never miss out on those charges. So obviously cost is what it's cost you. So let's say the default black cost is 0.001. The default we're going to sell it at is 10 cents. Default color cost is 2.5 cents. And the price is 25 cents. So those are what my system's going to fall back to if what we enter in the size click scale can't be found. So for this scale selection again, you have actually 4 sections. So you have step, which again, as soon as you hit the next scale, it starts charging at that price. You have the averaged, which does a little bit different math. It has less of a slope. It does more of an average between the two scales. You have the average calculated price, which actually creates the appropriate slope based on what the quantity is versus what the price is. And then you have incremental. So incremental will charge the first 100 clicks at the first scale, and then when it hits the next level, charge the next amount of clicks at the next scale. So you could, be charging 50 cents for the first 100, 40 cents for the next 100, and so on until you get down to the last amount of clicks. So in this case, in the most common, we're going to go with average calculated price. We're going to create a new table. So we can do things again up to a certain amount of impressions. We can do all sizes. We can do for 8.5, just 8.5, 11, 11, 17. So if I start it with up to 5,000 impressions for 8.5, 11, I'm just going to put in the defaults here again. You don't have to because the system will fall back to it, but if you want to put them in, you can. And we're going to say we charge 20 cents and my color cost is 2.5 and we're going to charge 30 cents. So if I want to do another scale, I can either hit save and close the modal, or I can just add another one by hitting save and add new. And we'll say up to 10,000, 8.5 by 11s. We're going to charge 10 cents, and color cost is 2.5 cents, and we're going to charge 20 cents. So you can continue to do this up till a certain number of impressions. Then you could enter them in for your 1117, your 1218s. You can also highlight them. You can duplicate them. And then we could pick those two and use our bulk actions to say I actually want to do this for 1117. We'll hit save. And then we just have to really just adjust the price for the click. So maybe this is actually 25 and this is actually 45. And this one is, say, 15, and this one is 30. So you can create as many scales as you need. We have some people that all 1117s are 15 cents, all 1218s are 20 cents. We have some people that just do one price and they say all impressions are 15 cents each. The reason you can do that is although some machines do have different click costs depending on size, a lot of them don't. So if your click cost is the same no matter what size, then technically your price can be the same no matter what size. In those instances, they probably always try and run on a 1218 or 1319. But if they have to and they run on an 8.5, 11, then they're going to charge the same amount for an 1117 or 1218. If you are going to do it per size, again, I would probably either do an all sizes for a catch-all. I know your defaults will catch it. The other thing you'll want to do is you'll probably want to duplicate your 1117s and make them 1711 because the system is going to come back and look for an exact size match. And if you entered in that it's a 1711, it's not going to find a scale and therefore it's not going to charge anything but the default. The hourly rate, the first option you have is do you want to use the scale by press sheet or by hours? So, up to 5,000 impressions, or sorry, press sheets, do you want to charge $10 an hour? Or is it up to 3 hours, you want to charge $10 an hour? And up to 6 hours, you want to charge less? So the majority is generally press sheets, but hours is a new thing. And again, you can pick step or average. So do we automatically jump up to the next scale or do we find a slope between them? If you choose to do an hourly rate on top of your scales, again, you can do it up to a certain amount of press sheets. And throw another scale in, charge less. You also have the opportunity to do a duplex modifier, which basically goes against your click scales. And if you charge maybe more for the second side or less for the second side, as opposed to exactly the same, that's when you would use this. So you can um, do one global setting that just says like all sizes, everything is 50% of the other side. You can also create scales that match what you have. So if we do up to 5,000, 8.5 11s, we can say we want to charge 50% of the price. So what this would do when you're testing pricing is if you did one 8.5 11 impression, you would get, or sorry, one 8.5 11 press sheet that was double-sided, you would have 20 cents for side one, and you would have 10 cents for side two. So meaning the entire sheet would be 30 cents. You also have the opportunity to add department items. So things that are associated with a press, we use department items for anything outside of stock or printing. So it could be ink, it could be additional plate setup, metal versus whatever. Digital can be, uh, white ink. It can be different varnishes. It could be collating and booklet making and whatever it is that you want. So attaching department items to this press, every time this press is selected, it's going to bring those department items in with it automatically. And then notes, again, these can be sticky no, which just means they're associated to the press and they're more for an internal use. Sticky, change that to yes, would actually make these notes show up on every order. So whether there's something specific about the press that you need noted on particular orders, they're always going to come to all orders, but you have the opportunity to delete the note if you don't need it. So one thing important is after you've set up your digital press and you start price testing, you really want to make sure that your cost and your pricing is correct. So some people have always taken account, depending on what system they came from previously, um, click costs and click prices always looks like you have a markup because it's 0.01 cents to sell it and it's 25 cents, 0.01 cents to cost it and 0.25 cents to price it. But what they don't take into account is if they didn't do an hourly rate to sell it, does the hourly cost now make the cost higher than the price? So they didn't take into account that it was $15 an hour on top of that. So you just want to make sure that your cost isn't higher than your price. And if it is that $15 an hour the actual cost that it should be? And if it is, then maybe you need to look at increasing your pricing or adding an hourly rate on top because at that point you would be losing money.